She walked into the barracks, heads turning, whispers following her every step. She's too small, too fragile, she won't last a day here. But when the commander's eyes fell on a faded medal pinned to her uniform, a medal no one knew existed, the entire room went silent. What secret did this quiet, underestimated soldier carry that could change everything? The first morning she stepped onto the base, the air was thick with judgment. Soldiers moved in practiced lines, boots thudding against the concrete floor, eyes sharp and evaluating. And there she was, a small figure in a standard-issue uniform, carrying nothing but a duffel bag and a quiet determination. Whispers snaked through the ranks almost instantly. She won't last a week. Look at her, she's practically a child. Does the commander even know she's here? She ignored them. She had learned long ago that words from strangers, or even colleagues, didn't matter. What mattered was the mission, the discipline, and the resolve burning quietly inside her. Still, every glance, every snicker was a weight she had to bear silently. The drills started immediately. Push-ups, sprints, weapon handling, and obstacle courses designed to break recruits down before building them back up. Her small frame struggled with some of the physical challenges, drawing raised eyebrows and murmurs from the soldiers around her. But she pushed through. Every fall became a lesson, every failure, a stepping stone. By mid-morning, the instructors began noticing her persistence. While others relied on raw strength or prior experience, she relied on ingenuity, analyzing patterns in the exercises and exploiting every advantage of technique over brute force. Still, among the recruits, the whispers didn't stop. Some offered advice, most laughed. She had become the invisible target for underestimation. During a particularly grueling drill, she stumbled near the climbing wall, her hand scraping against the rough surface. A soldier nearby smirked. "You might want to sit this one out." She barely spared him a glance, taking a deep breath, steadying herself. With controlled precision, she scaled the wall, each movement calculated, each foothold deliberate. At the top, she paused, catching her breath, but her eyes burned with quiet defiance. That afternoon, she was tasked with navigating a tactical exercise, a simulation meant to test not just strength, but strategy and observation. While others relied on speed, she relied on attention to detail, studying the terrain, predicting the instructor's moves, and finding solutions that left many of her peers struggling to keep up. Even the instructors began to take note, nodding subtly at her unconventional approach. By the time the day ended, she had proven one undeniable fact: weakness was only what people assumed it to be. But despite her small victories, the judgment of the room lingered. They still called her weak, yet something told her that very perception was about to be the key to her biggest revelation yet. Little did anyone know, there was more to her than met the eye. A small, almost forgotten medal pinned inside her uniform held a story that could shatter every assumption, a story no one at the base was prepared to hear. As evening settled over the base, the clatter of training exercises slowed, leaving only the hum of conversations and the distant clang of equipment being stored. She returned to her quarters, silent as ever, but her mind was far from at rest. Inside her uniform, hidden beneath layers of fabric, lay a medal no one had ever noticed, a small, tarnished symbol of a feat so remarkable that its story had been erased from public knowledge. The medal had been awarded years ago, in a different conflict, under circumstances that demanded secrecy. It wasn't for bravery in the conventional sense, it was for ingenuity, precision, and courage that defied both expectation and definition. While her peers had been busy seeking recognition, she had learned early that true accomplishment often went unnoticed, buried beneath protocol and classified reports. The medal, she thought, was both her shield and her reminder: never underestimate what others can't see. Every time she glanced at it, a memory flickered. The mission in question had required her to navigate through hostile territory, relying on skill, intuition, and the ability to stay completely unseen. One misstep could have ended her life, and yet, she had emerged not only unharmed but triumphant. The medal had been issued quietly, her name recorded in a ledger few eyes would ever see. It was meant to vanish, to exist only as a silent testament to her capabilities, a secret strength she carried alone. At the base now, as her comrades joked and boasted about accomplishments visible to all, she felt the familiar duality, invisible to them, yet armed with experience they could scarcely imagine. Her eyes scanned the room as she walked past clusters of soldiers. They were laughing, confident, completely unaware of the story she carried. A knock on the door broke her thoughts. It was a fellow recruit, one who had started noticing her unconventional methods during drills. "Hey, you really handle yourself differently," he said hesitantly. "It's like you see things the rest of us miss." She nodded slightly, offering a polite smile, but said nothing of the medal. Some things were meant to reveal themselves at the right time. That night, in the dim glow of her bunk, she cleaned her gear meticulously, her hands steady and precise. Every motion, every detail mattered, discipline that had been honed in missions no one could discuss. And as she carefully adjusted the medal inside her uniform, she felt the weight of it, not just the medal, but the responsibility it represented. The world might call her weak. The soldiers might underestimate her. But the commander, the one who would soon notice, would see something entirely different. She closed her eyes for a moment, breathing deeply, letting her mind replay lessons learned in shadows, in missions erased from history. The secret behind the medal wasn't just about past success, it was a promise of what she could do when the time came. And the time, she sensed, was closer than anyone realized. The next morning, the base was alive with the usual energy, soldiers moving with precision, voices carrying orders, the air thick with discipline and expectation. She entered the briefing room quietly, as always, her posture straight but unassuming. Most of the recruits barely gave her a second glance. Most, but not the commander. He was a tall man, his presence commanding respect without a word. Eyes that had seen countless soldiers come and go now fell on her, lingering on the small insignia barely visible beneath her uniform. Something in his gaze shifted, an almost imperceptible pause that made her heart skip a beat. He walked closer, his expression unreadable, until he was directly in front of her. "This medal," he said slowly, his fingers brushing the fabric just enough to reveal the small, worn piece of metal beneath. The room seemed to shrink in that instant. Every whisper stopped, every eye turned toward them. The medal, hidden for years, now caught the light and the attention of everyone present. A collective gasp rippled through the recruits. "No one knew this existed," someone whispered. "Is that?" The commander's eyes never left hers. "You accomplished this?" he asked, voice low but edged with awe. She nodded, keeping her face calm, though a spark of recognition flickered in her chest. She had trained for moments like this, but she had never expected it to arrive so suddenly. He straightened, addressing the room now. "Everyone, take note. Strength isn't always measured in size or volume. Skill, courage, and determination often hide where you least expect it. This medal, this soldier has earned it through actions most of you could not even imagine." The whispers turned into stunned silence. Recruits who had mocked her, underestimated her, now looked on with a mixture of shock and newfound respect. The small, quiet soldier who had been dismissed as weak was suddenly the embodiment of a lesson they would never forget. As the commander continued, he recounted, carefully, without breaching classified details, the nature of the feat that had earned her the medal. Her story, previously unknown, now became a tangible symbol of what she represented: unseen strength, relentless discipline, and courage beyond expectation. She stood straight, letting the moment wash over her, aware of the shift in energy around her. The soldiers who had doubted her would no longer speak so freely. The room itself seemed to acknowledge the presence of someone exceptional. And yet, she remained the same, quiet, composed, aware that recognition was not the goal. The mission always came first. But in that moment, as the commander's eyes met hers with something between respect and approval, she understood something profound. Being underestimated had been her advantage. The world had assumed weakness where there was none. And now, with the secret of the medal finally revealed, she was no longer invisible, she was unstoppable. The room was silent, the lesson unmistakable. The soldier who had been called weak had shown that true strength is not always obvious. And for the first time, everyone in that briefing room realized just how wrong they had been.